What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning to the channel once again. Uh, Video today is coming from you from Thomas Sowell. A lot of people don't know about him, but I'm hoping to spread his knowledge as far and as wide as I can. Because man, when I say this man has really opened my eyes and opened my mind in ways that I didn't know was possible. Like they say, knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. Before I jump into the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video if you like the message that you hear, and we're gonna go on and I'm gonna let the clip play. I'm not gonna hold you up too long, and I'm gonna drop my 2 cents in here and there. So here we go.
Are all born ignorant, but they are not born stupid. Much of the stupidity we see today is induced by our educational system, from the elementary schools to the universities. In a high-tech age that has seen the creation of artificial intelligence by computers, we are also seeing the creation of artificial stupidity by people who call themselves educators. Educational institutions created to pass on to the next generation the knowledge, experience, and culture.
And let's think about this for a minute. Why is it that all the people who come out of these schools are so angry? You know, like you would think that I don't know AOC personally. I don't know that little Greta girl. She's dead. We're not even gonna talk about her. We're gonna talk about America for a minute. The politicians, the AOCs. What's the Somalian lady? I can't think of her name. Not taking no shots at her. But all of them people are some type of immigrant, and now they in government. You would think their message would be, this is the American dream. You can be anything. You can accomplish anything. AOC went from being a bartender. You have to be taught to hate a country where you can prosper like that, you know?
Culture of the generations that went before them have instead been turned into indoctrination centers to promote whatever notions, fashions, or ideologies happen to be in vogue among today's intelligentsia. Many conservatives have protested against the specifics of the things with which students are being indoctrinated, but that is not where the most lasting harm is done. Many, if not most, of the leading conservatives of our times were on the left in their youth. These have included Milton Friedman, Ronald.
And did you let me go back so we can pick that up. Let's see what that said. If you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative at 40, you have no brain. I I dropped my liberal ways about 26. But I think as a man, life hits you a little different in the chest. So you got to wake up and realize you can't live in this fantasy land. There is no kumbaya. There is no the world is out to take care of you. You've always been taken advantage of. What gets me is the people who become 60, 70 and still never wake up to the mind game that's being played on America. I mean, for black Americans, in a sense, we're liberal out the womb. Out our mama's womb, we taught to be liberal. We don't even have a chance to develop a open consciousness of what government is fully. That there are two sides of government. We're literally taught from youth on up. One side is good, one side is bad. Without knowing the side that's so-called good has been responsible for all the bad our whole lives and our grandparents' lives and their parents' lives, right? So yes, you become conservative as you get older in other areas of race and ethnicity and stuff like that. But for black Americans, we're not allowed to become conservative because our rappers tell us to stay liberal. Our athletes tell us to stay liberal. So no one even lets us get to this point in life.
Have included Milton Friedman, Ronald Reagan, and the whole neoconservative movement. The experiences of life can help people outgrow whatever they were indoctrinated with. What may persist, however, is the lazy habit of hearing one side of an issue and being galvanized into action without hearing the other side. And more fundamentally, not having developed any mental skills that would enable you to systematically test one set of beliefs against another. It was once the proud declaration of many educators that we are here to teach you how to think, not what to think.
I was about to say that's one of my favorite sayings that everyone thinks, but no one thinks. Because if you did, you wouldn't say a lot of the things that you say out your mouth. You wouldn't do a lot of things that you unconsciously do because you know better. And when you know better, you do better. But if you're not thinking, then you're just moving on autopilot, as I like to say. Most people are robots, and not robots like they have a battery inside of them. But you're not conscious of what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're trying to create on a daily basis. Because no one has ever told you that you have that much control over your brain, which gives you that much control over your life and your outcomes. When someone tells us that our life is predetermined to be a certain way, it takes a lot of power from you, and you don't even put in the effort to see what you can really do or what you can really become.
But far too many of our teachers and professors today are teaching their students what to think about everything from global warming to the new trinity of race, class, and gender. Even if all the conclusions with which they indoctrinate their students were 100% correct, that would still not be equipping students with the mental skills to weigh opposing views for themselves in order to be prepared for new and unforeseeable issues that will arise over their lifetimes after they leave the schools and colleges. Many of today's educators not only supply students with conclusions, they promote the idea that students should spring into action because of these prepackaged conclusions.
Social justice
In other
warriors.
words, vent their feelings and go galloping off on crusades, without either a knowledge of what is said by those on the other side or the intellectual discipline to know how to analyze opposing arguments. When we see children in elementary schools out carrying signs and demonstrations,
Look at this trash. This is child abuse. This right here is 100% child abuse to have some kids saying, "Am I next?" Next for what? Are you passing fake bills? Is this little girl running around with men that are drug dealers and got felonies and warrants out for their arrest? No. Are these little boys criminals? Why would you even raise your kids to think this is what they're going to become? This is my biggest issue with this. It's so much indoctrination. White kids are taught by their teachers, but black kids are taught by their parents. Most parents are destroying their kids' mindset before they ever have a chance to realize how powerful they can be in life and what they can become. School, like says, artificial stupidity. This makes no sense to do this to children. It's so disheartening. It's putting false image. They should know that they're going to be little greats, little geniuses, little doctors, little entrepreneurs. The mind has no limit. Anything that the mind can believe it can achieve.
we are seeing the kind of mindless groupthink that causes adults to sign petitions they don't understand, or, worse yet, follow leaders they don't understand, whether to the White House, the Kremlin, or Jonestown. A philosopher once said that the most important knowledge is knowledge of one's own ignorance. That is the knowledge that too many of our schools and colleges are failing to teach our young people. It takes a certain amount of knowledge just to understand the extent of one's own ignorance. But our educators have given assignments to children not yet a decade old to write letters to members of Congress or to presidents, spouting off on issues ranging from nuclear weapons to medical care. Will Rogers once said that it was not ignorance that was so bad, but all the things we know that ain't so. But our classroom indoctrinators are getting students to think that they know after hearing only one side of an issue.
And the downside of that is most black people, we don't even know we're being indoctrinated. I didn't know I was being indoctrinated until I hit the age of what, 25, and start making a lot more sense. But there's even concepts that I go to my father with. Hey, you ever heard of this, daddy? And he's like, no, sir. I wish my mama was still alive so I could talk to her. Like, I want to ask so many people from the older generation, like, did y'all like the civil rights movement? Did y'all think it was indoctrination? Did you guys think it was socialism? Did anybody even know what socialism or communism was in the 50s and 60s? I wish that we took advantage of talking to our grandparents and our great grandparents about real life. And I wish our parents didn't always look at us as kids, from my perspective anyway. and didn't give us the real deal of what was going on in times, you know? And my grandfather, one of the things that he told me that stuck with me, like we didn't have a lot of talks about politics, but he told me he wasn't a fan of Martin Luther King. And he said because he didn't need another man to go get anything for him from the government. He said he was a man and could stand on his own 2 feet, and anything that he wanted, he could have for himself. And he asked me, he said, "Don't I own my own house?" And I said, "Yep." And he said, "Don't I got my own car?" He said, "Don't I have my own guns?" And he said, "So anything that I want, I can go get. And you're a man as well, little Johnny. So anything you want, you can get up and go get." So it was dope hearing that message from my grandfather. But I wish I could talk to some other older men. So if someone runs across this video, if you have ever had a conversation with your grandfather or great grandfather, or just some old man who was spitting wisdom or something, let me know in the comments, because I feel like there's a lot more older Thomas Sowells, Jesse Lee Petersons than what we think of, just because media waters everything down. So if you know somebody else with some wisdom like this, man, drop some bars that they done left for you in the comments and stuff. And let me know what you think about the video. Do you feel like a school in modern day indoctrination camps? I personally do. I also challenge everyone to go read the Nazis' 25-point program and see how much of it ties to where we are in American society today. But that's another video for another day as well. Until next time, YouTube, spread love, spread positive vibes. Watch my other videos, subscribe to the channel, be the change you wish to see in the world, and